Three, two, one, go.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Triad of the Force podcast, a podcast from three Puerto Rican friends coming together to do deep dives into Star Wars and other nerd-related media. This is our season 2, episode 33, and today we will be doing our own Battle of the Bats. But before we explain what that is, our major fandom is Star Wars, so there was a little bit of Star Wars news. Not as exciting as we were expecting, but something. Why don't you let us know, Goose, what happened?
Unfortunately, yeah, we have to start with the left foot, so to speak. After Star Wars Twitter, and by Star Wars Twitter, I specifically mean the official Star Wars Twitter account, hyped Disney Plus Day this past Friday to be like a day full of Star Wars reveals. Us fans salivate at any tease that any of these official channels give us about new content. So everyone's imagination went wild. What are they gonna show us? Is we're gonna get like a teaser trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi? Are we getting a sizzle reel for it? Andor, another trailer for Boba Fett, updates on Rogue Squadron, like anything. It's just please give us any information since like you're hyping up, all these news for Disney Plus Day. But unfortunately, it was not meant to be, and Star Wars didn't really deliver anything. The only thing we got, and we appreciate everything we get, of course, but the only thing we got was a year-old sizzle reel for Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was screened last year at the Disney Investors Call. So we couldn't see it because we're not investors. So we finally got a chance to see it a year later. It's a little over a minute long, and it's basically just Ewan McGregor and Deborah Chow talking a little bit about the show, their excitement for it. Obviously mentioning that Hayden's coming back, which we already knew, and then a bunch of concept art for it, which was interesting to see, I think. But as you know, with most concept art, doesn't mean that we're gonna necessarily see those images translated into the show. Mm-hmm. But still, still cool. We saw an Inquisitor in a really badass ship landing on what seems to be Tatooine. Stormtroopers in like this super tall building with some greenish hue. Speeders, which might be like the snow speeders before they were retrofitted to be in the snow. And then like the money shot, Darth Vader in his castle looking at some projection of something before their inevitable encounter with old Ewan. But that was basically it. What did you guys think of that teaser, though?
I mean, I don't really think we should go into it all that much because we already talked about it, like all our expectations for the show in a previous episode. So check that out. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's always fantastic to listen to Ewan McGregor's beautiful voice and get a little bit extra excited for the show that we are already excited for. So I mean, it didn't really add all that much to it. Mm-hmm. So.
I love the choice of words. It's like the fans' hunger for this character.
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
Whoa, you want like take it easy.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
I do feel happy.
It's like we all, we all hunger for you, but that's okay.
That's true. I mean, he knows. I mean, and I feel good for him that he doesn't have to lie about this anymore. Because like for years, he's just like, oh, I'm just waiting for Disney, for Lucasfilm to call me, and making it seem as if he doesn't have work, and he's just like begging. It's like, please cast me. So now it's just like, okay, I can't really talk about it, but at least I don't have to lie about it.
Exactly.
So good for him. Good for Hayden. Obviously, Hayden also coming back for the Ahsoka series. So if you want to hear more about our theories about Hayden's reprisal in both roles, we did an episode a couple weeks back on the news of Hayden reprising his role as Anakin in the Ahsoka series. So go check that out. I think we went pretty in-depth on it, but I think for now we are done with Star Wars since we don't have that much to talk about Disney Plus Day. Thank you, Lucasfilm. Hopefully they're just saving up all the news for Star Wars Celebration. Next year in May. So we'll see. Here's to hoping. But for now, we switch fandoms to how Nanny said we're doing the Battle of the Bats. And what does that mean? After a couple weeks ago, after DC Fandom, after seeing the glorious trailer for Matt Reeves' The Batman and being able to see a little bit more of Robert Pattinson as in the cowl and in the Batman suit and in the Batmobile. We asked the question that every fan asks
And some
every
Michael
time.
Keaton in the Flash.
And some Michael Keaton in the Flash. Yeah, thanks very much. I just got goosebumps when you said that.
I
'cause totally
know.
forgot. But we come to the quintessential question that every fan always debates every time there's a new Bat person in the Bat suit, and that is, who is the best Batman? And that's what we're gonna do today. We are pitting all the Bats against each other in this Triad of the Forces, Battle of the Bats. Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, I guess, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, and now Robert Pattinson. Who
And
is the
Adam
best
West.
Bat? And Adam
Don't
West.
forget Adam West.
You see,
He's
Adam West
the whole
always wins the
beast unto
title, so
himself.
we have to like separate.
Yeah, he's in a category all on his own.
Category.
So which
And
Batman is the
technically-
best?
It's a difficult question. I mean, it's
It depends who you ask. Like, and at what
Mhm.
moment in time in your life you
Yes.
ask yourself this question. Because 10-year-old me knows who the best Batman was. Like,
who's the best Batman?
I mean, clearly the Tim Burton star.
Michael
like,
Keaton.
Batman. Michael Keaton.
Keaton.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
I feel like this is one of those questions, kind of like asking someone who the best James Bond is. And like you were saying, Mo, I think it also has to
Yeah.
do like, what was your introduction to the character? Because at least for me, growing up, my favorite James Bond was Pierce Brosnan, because the first
Yeah,
James
of
Bond
course.
movie that I was aware of watching was GoldenEye. And and then I had the
and I was like filmed in
N64
Puerto Rico,
GoldenEye.
it's like 64,
yes.
it's like everything, boom.
It
like-
coalesced. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he did all the campy ones after GoldenEye. So
Mhm.
unfortunately, he only had one good James Bond movie. But that kind of defined the standard for James Bond for myself. So at least for me, it's the same thing as you, Mo. I grew up with Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
Batman Returns. Batman Returns was my Batman. Like that was my favorite Batman movie growing up for the longest time. So until the Christian Bale Batman films came out, then I was forced to reevaluate like how you judge bad people
Are
from
you
that
Bad
point on.
people.
Yeah, because I think with Christian Bale, what happened, and correct me if you guys had the same perception, was that people then started splitting Batman in two, right? It's like, okay, well, his portrayal as Batman was good, and his portrayal as
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne
Bruce.
is good.
Mhm.
And like now people kind of like have that more nuanced conversation about it. But I think started with Christian Bale, because I think some people preferred his Bruce Wayne and not his Batman as much, and so on and so forth. But Michael Keaton, perfect in both.
Perfect. Perfect.
I was obsessed with those movies, and I still think they hold up. Both Tim Burton's are great. Back then, I was obsessed with Tim Burton. I thought Michael Keaton was super sexy, and he has not let me down. He has aged like a fine wine.
He probably looks better now. I'll give you that.
He's fantastic. I was obsessed with the Danny Elfman soundtrack,
Mhm.
Yes.
which they still use
everything is-
sometimes, like little hints of it, and it's so good. I loved Jack Nicholson as the Joker. I loved
Mhm.
Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. I think she's still the best. We'll see how Lenny Kravitz's daughter does, because in the teaser for
yeah.
the new one, she actually looks pretty good. But Michelle
Mhm.
Pfeiffer, Danny DeVito as the Penguin was like the perfect casting of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, those Tim Burton ones did a really good job of like mixing the darkness that is Batman with like the
Mhm.
whimsy of the characters
Elements.
too, because you
Yeah.
kept them cartoony but dark at the same time. So I think it's one of the most successful DCs of all time,
Mhm.
really. Those Tim Burtons, both of them, and
And-
I still love them.
I think you hit the nail, like apart from everything, all of those components, but like the fact that they still kept the cartoon aspect of it. Like that's what we all grew up with Batman. It was like a cartoon, it was a comic. Like there's color. There's like it's a little bit
Mhm.
whimsical, it's dark because it's still a dark character,
Yeah.
but like there's a little bit of magic in Batman,
Mhm, mhm.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, especially like in
which I
Batman
think is-
Returns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think the first Batman, like he was a little bit too grounded and more serious and less whimsical, I feel. But then Batman Returns, he goes full Tim Burton on it.
Yep.
And then it's like he has the rubber ducks, and he has like the
Yep. And the circus and
walking
everything
penguins
going
and
on.
It's like,
Yep.
and it's like, okay, I mean, I don't think that jives with a lot of people, but that for me was like, okay, this is dope.
I loved it.
I said, let's do it.
Let's
But
do
it was
it.
like gothic whimsy, you know? It's
Yeah.
I think was lost.
Bats coming out of the
And-
Christmas tree and everything.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's like,
Which-
yeah, exactly.
Which was weird because then in Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, Batman
Took it the other
Forever-
way.
Batman Forever was supposed to be directed by Tim Burton, and Michael Keaton was supposed to reprise the role. So you can still see like those elements of the gothic whimsy of Tim Burton, but then kind of hamped up into the campy level and just turned
Too much.
into a carnival. So like it kind of was going in that direction and then kind of took a left turn somehow, which for me kind of ruined the tone in retrospect, because growing up I still love those movies. The best Batmobile toy I've ever had to this day. I mean, I don't have it anymore, unfortunately. But I remember growing up, I got the Batman Forever Batmobile, which was the
That
best
lit up.
ever.
Yep.
No, that was the Batman and Robin one. The
one that lit
Batman
up.
Forever one. The Batman Forever one, since Batman Forever had like the bat boat and the bat plane and stuff.
Yeah.
This you could take off the wheels and then put the wings, or then put a little cat to turn it into the boat. That was, oh my god, that for like however old I was back in the 90s when that came out, that dominated my world. So I will give credit to that movie for giving me the best Batmobile in my toy collection. But Val Kilmer was just not like a great actor. Like, please find a way to put him back on Willow, because he deserves all the roles he can get despite his illness. But I mean, he's a great actor back then, but somehow like his role didn't mesh either as Batman or Bruce Wayne.
Or
it's just like
it just
monotone
didn't hit the mark
the whole way round. It's just like no charisma, no menace. There was just like nothing to his role that I felt kind of added to that world. I don't know how you guys felt about Val Kilmer.
It honestly just feels like Val Kilmer dressing up as the Batman. It's not
cosplaying.
Yeah, it's not there's no. I remember like I think that they tried to like infuse like some romantic aspect to it as well, and it just failed. Like it looked like
because you actually had like some really good actors. Like you had Nicole Kidman and Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey, and they were all kind of terrible. I mean,
exactly. I think maybe that was it. It suffered from like, they brought like all this like cast and
all
like,
these
stars,
names and stuff, and
and trying to make something like memorable out of it while dealing with all those egos. I'm sure it must be also like difficult.
Well, then I also think there was a mistake bringing in Robin too, because then you bring in Robin like too old and make him act like he's 11, like how old he's supposed to be when like Batman takes him in, but you cast him like in a 30-year-old man and make him act like he's 11, and it just did not work. It was so bad. I'm sorry.
He's even
Chris
whinier
O'Donnell.
than
you sucked.
Even whinier than Anakin. It's like
it was so bad.
But at least we got to see like the original bat suit at the beginning of the movie, even though he swapped out for like the starts to get the bat nipples and everything. So
no, isn't George Clooney the one with the nipples?
I think you might be right. I think George Clooney had the bat nipples, but then Val Kilmer still had like the super sexualized muscly rubber suit anyway. So it's kind of
made no sense. Yeah.
I mean, it works in some cultures. Like
true.
Don't discount it. So.
Hey, if that's what you're into, that's cool. But I'm not sure that's battle appropriate in the streets of Gotham. That's all I'm gonna say.
Unless your enemy would get totally distracted when they see that come. So you know.
That's true. Fair point. And Batman is always prepared. So
and Batman's always psychologically prepared. So
oh my god. But no, it was bad, but it was not as bad as George Clooney.
You see,
I feel like
No, go.
What you were saying? No, go.
No.
No, it sounded like you were gonna say something good. Go, Mo.
I was just gonna say like that movie, just Iceman is the best, like hands down.
Yeah.
Like, Didn't make sense, but it was the best
No.
thing ever. Like
Ice puns, come on, ice pound. It's like
ice.
the thing is, what I appreciated about it, because like Uma Thurman also does like, I mean, that movie should be called Batman and the Puns or something, because everyone's just dropping puns every 2 seconds. But I think Schwarzenegger is the king of the puns in that movie because he delivers them, ice cold. It's just like
Ice
with a
cold.
straight face, with a straight face, and it's just like he's enjoying the role. Whereas I feel Uma Thurman was kind of like forcing it and trying to be too campy, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was like, they painted me blue, and I'm saying puns. I'm going for it. So he wins. He wins the battle of the bats in this round. I think.
Terminator and Iceman into one
absolutely.
thing, and it works. It's just...
I want to see the greedy reboot of oh my god of Schwarzenegger. What the fuck was his character's name? I forgot. Oh my god.
Dr. Freeze.
There we go. I was gonna say Iceman. I was like, whoop, wrong franchise.
Wrong franchise. So same. Oh, Mr. Freeze. Actually, there we go. Not Dr. Freeze.
Whatever.
Wasn't he a doctor though?
He was a
as
doctor.
well.
He was a doctor.
Yeah.
So he lost his title when he lost his school.
Dr. Victor Fries.
Oh, come on. But how terrible was Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl?
Well, was it terrible because she was terrible or because the script was just written to be as campy as possible? I think it was even campier than like the Adam West Batman at this point.
Yeah. You could even add the pows and everything and it would have fit.
It would have made it better, maybe. Because then you're in, a comedy.
Yeah. Because the Adam West was comfy as hell, but it was still fantastic because they were.
Well, and his bat suit was comfy as well.
It's like
but
PJs.
going back to the Bat himself, I think the idea of George Clooney as Batman, at least back then, I think he would have made a better Batman now, actually. But at least back then, it kind of made sense because he was like the playboy, a bachelor. So it's just like, okay, I can see George Clooney as kind of a Bruce Wayne type of person, and so it made sense. And he's a good actor, so it's like, okay, this could work. But the material did not help him at all. And like even the man acknowledges this, and in interviews he just has apologized to fans about it. So I mean, that tells you something when like, because it's a paycheck at the end of the day, so you don't really have to care about it. He's like, I got paid. It's like, oh, whatever, it sucked. But like for you to feel bad about your role, that you feel that you have to apologize to fans, that's how bad it has to be. So bad puns are not cool if Schwarzenegger isn't delivering them. So I think we've reached a point where we can at least choose the worst of the bats. So which bat was worse, Val Kilmer or George Clooney? Like a flat portrayal or a campy portrayal? Who loses?
I think Val Kilmer on my end.
Val Kilmer loses.
Just because I prefer the other movie. And
I think George Clooney was the worst. Yeah.
It's complicated because like Val Kilmer didn't really give me anything to criticize. So it's just like
it was just flat.
Exactly.
It was just there.
Exactly. It doesn't even provoke anything. It's just like watching a wall. It's like
true. But somehow I feel like he fit the role better. I feel like he looked more like a Batman / Bruce Wayne, whereas
he looked more like a Bruce Wayne.
Whereas like George Clooney just felt out of place completely.
Yeah,
I feel so. I have to give worst to George Clooney because even though Val Kilmer didn't like really give anything to the character, at least he looked more the part. So that's
just that little edge.
Mm-hmm. The edge, yeah.
It's exactly. It's not like he's winning by much, but
it's like
at least
a little technicality.
It's like I have to pick one.
Exactly. I was forced.
So we can agree that 89 to like I think 97 was Batman and Robin. So 80s, 90s Batman, Michael Keaton wins hands down.
Oh yeah,
no contest. Done.
Michael Keaton makes it to the final round. I think he's a.
Michael Keaton makes it to the Michael
Keaton is a finalist.
I mean, unfortunately, I don't think we can like use Robert Pattinson in our battle because we haven't seen his portrayal.
Yeah, I know.
So I think he'll be one of our two bad people, depending on like how we feel about Christian Bale and Ben Affleck. But that's what we're going to now, like the change of an era, and like in the early 2000s, Christopher Nolan redefined after George Clooney effectively killed Batman for everybody.
That we
like,
thought Batman was never gonna come back.
Never
because it was like destroyed. Everybody's like, that's it for DC, that's it for Batman, only animated stuff because it was destroyed. And then almost 10 years later comes Christopher Nolan and revamps the whole thing and makes everybody realize that Batman fucking is awesome and made us fall in love with the character all over again.
I mean, he did a thing that was amazing. Not only did he revitalize Batman, but he revitalized comic book movies, period. Because I think that Batman Begins and The Dark Knight were films that, because of their grounded and grittiness, kind of set the stage for, you know, wannabes. And like, it's like when people talk about best sequels ever, and people say like, oh, this is the Empire Strikes Back of sequels and stuff like that. Well, people were like, oh, this is the Batman Begins of comic book movies, because like Man of Steel and like I don't know how many movies after that like started taking that grounded approach to superheroes. So Christopher Nolan, you know, did a good job there in reinvigorating comic book movies for everyone and just making them films instead of just like you know, just movies for kids or whatever you know those Batman movies were, and just making like, you know, adult thoughtful films that, you know, had something to say. And with that, the portrayal of Batman by Christian Bale, I think, was fantastic. I mean, I loved both his Batman and his Bruce Wayne, honestly. The only thing I didn't particularly like about, and it's not a Christian Bale thing, more of a script thing, I didn't like that they didn't push the detective Batman aspect of it more, and like see him, you know, dig into the mysteries and figure things out. I mean, they did a little bit in The Dark Knight when he's like reverse engineering the bullet fragments and all that stuff, and it's like, okay, you gave me a little bit of detective,
a little bit of the detective. I think they went more they went more the League of Assassins angle, which was great because I mean the whole thing was fantastic. It was a movie I never expected was going to be as good. And then obviously you have Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul, who was just oh my God, so good. So I did like the, you know, League of Assassins kind of angle to it. You could combine it because, you know, starts as League of Assassins trained by Ra's al Ghul, but then, you know, adapts and does the whole detective thing. So you could have done both aspects of that Batman. I'm not the biggest fan of Christian Bale, to be honest. I love American Psycho, and that's about it. I don't like him that much. And I think he was a fantastic Bruce Wayne, but I don't like his Batman that much. I hate the fucking voice. It drives me fucking nuts. Can't you just speak with a normal voice? Yeah, Batman. Like, I'm constipated. I hated that. Hated it.
I didn't mind the voice. I think sometimes he takes it too far. I think, especially like I think in Dark Knight Rises or something, like I think he goes too far with it. But I didn't mind it that much. I know there's a lot of backlash online with it, but I do prefer Ben Affleck, and we'll get to Ben Affleck, but we're gonna jump ahead of with Ben Affleck's voice, because it still makes more Batman sense in the sense that it's not just him like it's modulated. He has uses technology to change his voice and mask, and I'm like, okay, that Zack Snyder, I gotta give it to you. That good job with Batman. But yeah, the voice I didn't mind. I did like one of the things I did love about Christian Bale's Batman was the bat suit. It's just kind of like, okay, let's stop using like the full rubber or latex suits, whatever
that was,
that they use. And all the including Michael Keaton's movies where like they couldn't even move, and just give him tactical battle armor, which is what Batman would do. It's just like, okay, I'm a billionaire and I have access to all this military technology through my companies. Like, how do I make a suit for myself? And like the suit just like looks awesome and makes sense, you know, in the world that Christopher Nolan built for this grounded Batman. So gotta give it to them in that sense. And then the Batmobile with the Tumbler, something I never would have expected. I think that was a design that came out of left field. That first when I saw it, I was like, what is this? This is not my Batmobile. And then,
Batmobile's always sleek and all these things, and then you see this beast coming out. It's like, oh my God, it works.
It
This
works.
works.
Exactly.
This is kind
Once
of
you see it
awesome.
in act, once you see it in action, it's just like, never mind. This is my
Never mind.
Batmobile.
Take it back.
Yeah, I'll put this in my pocket and shut up. I hope no one reads those posts ever again.
My favorite is still Michael Keaton's, but the Tumbler is fucking awesome too. So
The Tumbler is just awesome. Like,
Mhm.
and I love that, they actually, it does, now it's overused, but it was the first time, a movie gave us like the background of like how
Mhm.
the superhero came
Everything.
to,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everything, like the details, like, and the payoff of like finally seeing Batman wear the costume, like
Mhm.
yeah,
not at the beginning, not at the middle, but like closer to the end. That's when like, oh, you earned it. Like, wow.
Right. Right.
Like
yeah. Like all those little details of trying to choose like the mask that it breaks or doesn't break. Where are we going to order it from? We have
Yeah.
to mass order it so people don't find out. Like all the Alfred being completely involved, the addition of Lucius
Mhm,
Fox as Morgan
Mhm.
Freeman, who
Morgan Freeman,
always, and
voice
just
of God.
The voice
yeah,
of God.
because obviously he's a billionaire, but he needs some help to get all these things together.
Right.
So it makes so much sense to see like all these little details about how everything comes together.
Right.
Like,
So
Yeah,
it was,
but to most point about the suit,
Mhm.
I especially loved like how they explain like the spikes on the gauntlet. Because before it's just like, yeah, it looks cool, but no, it's because of the League of Shadows. That's like what they
Mhm.
use for defense. So she's like incorporating that, and I was like, oh, mwah, chef's kiss, good job.
perfect. Yes.
But and to that point, I love how they also then use that to justify evolving the suit. It's not like in, and it's not a dig at Marvel at all. But it's not like in
Yeah.
Marvel movies where like you just get a new suit to get a new suit because you need to sell toys and you need a new look.
Yeah.
And I mean, they still did that for those reasons in The Dark Knight.
Of course.
It was part of the story and it was organic and it made sense to
Mhm.
Batman's character. She's like, oh, if this suit is not working anymore, I need to upgrade it
Upgrade
because
it,
it
yeah.
needs to be. I need to move better with it, and like it organically made sense to how he evolved it. So how this whole Batman worked in this universe was just like amazing, and it doesn't hurt that the movies were all fantastic. And I mean, Dark Knight Rises notwithstanding, because I know there's a lot of criticisms to that movie, even though I enjoyed it for the most part. I think it's a very solid trilogy and one of the
Mhm.
most solid portrayals of Batman out there. With, I mean, Michael Keaton notwithstanding, one of the
Mhm.
best Batman movies to be done, and one of the best trilogies in comic book history. I think didn't stick the landing as much, but it was still good overall.
Well, and Dark Knight Rises actually has one of the best opening scenes of any movie, period. I mean, I remember that scene with Bane in the plane and everything being, that's how you start a fucking movie. Like,
Yeah,
No
this
one
is,
cared who I was before I put on the mask. It's like,
oh my
yes.
God. And then especially like, you remember like the last time we saw Bane was Batman and Robin. And it was like this super
Yeah.
cartoony, horrible destruction they did of this character who is supposed to be like
Mhm.
super intelligent and all these things. And you just destroy the character. So when they announced they were doing Bane, I was like, oh, don't destroy
Don't
Bane
do it.
again. Please just don't do it. And then you see this opening sequence. I remember I was watching in the theater and I was like with Hosbando, and we both looked at each other like, damn, that's
Damn.
Bane.
Yeah,
That's
Holy
that whole
shit.
sequence,
Yeah.
when Bane breaks the bat,
Mhm.
is so
Oh, yeah.
like one of the
Mhm.
best Batman sequences of all time, because there's no
Mhm.
music. It's just you can just only hear the water pouring down. It's like a film with like super high contrast, so you see like this super light, the light coming down and the darkness of the tunnel from below, and then the cape is just wet, so you see like Batman struggling, and like the whole sequence is just filmed in such a way that's like so epic, and you just feel Batman outmatched, because then
Yep.
Bane's just towering
And
over him
break. Mhm.
and monologuing over him while Batman's just like trying to use all the tricks in his arsenal, which are tricks from the League of Shadows. And
Yep.
then Bane is just like, oh, I know all your tricks. It's like, I know how to defeat you. I've trained harder than you and I have to
Mhm.
overcome more than you. So that whole sequence, and then when he finally breaks his back, it's like, epic. So Dark Knight Rises has some amazing
Mhm.
Batman things that then I think are just overshadowed by the crappy reveal at the end that
Robin.
what's her name? No, I didn't mind Robin as much. I thought that reinvention was interesting.
I liked
think
it. I actually liked it.
Yeah.
they
I
could
enjoyed
have
that.
pushed it a bit more,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
It's more the reveal that she's Ra's al Ghul's daughter.
Oh, I
That,
actually
for
liked
me,
the
was
Talia
kinda-
al Ghul reveal. I was okay with
The
that.
thing is, it's not that it was bad. It's that it was executed poorly. It's just like,
Poorly.
that's it. So okay, that's it. And then her death scene, she's like, "Eh." It's like, oh, okay. So the movie
Yeah.
ended basically. It's just like, oh, that's it. That's
And
the
she's a
movie. We build up
fantastic
to
actress.
this.
So, you know,
Oh, yes.
Marion Cotillard. There we go. Like I was
Mhm.
trying to remember her name. She's a fantastic actress. Not in that movie
Yes.
though.
mhm.
Every other movie she's in, great. Dark Knight Rises, not so much.
Not that great.
No.
But that's I think probably what set it apart was like how real it was in a sense. Like, this Batman felt like, okay, yeah, given the proper, training and like lifestyle, like I can see the Batman becoming
Being real.
real. Like
Mhm.
I think it gives an element of reality to it. Like
Mhm.
it's interesting because it's like the reverse of like the suspension of disbelief. It's like,
Mhm.
you actually believe it's possible. I guess
Mhm.
it is the suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, because Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk have all the money in the world and none of them have decided to become Batman. How do you explain that? It's like, come on. First thing I would do with $1 billion, a Batmobile.
Batmobile. I mean, they're already investing on rockets, so who knows? Batmobile
Yeah.
might be coming next. The Tesla mobile, the Tesla Batmobile.
Tesla
I don't
mobile.
believe Elon Musk has no. We may talk about that in a separate episode, but I don't have kind things to say about either of them.
But anyway, I mean, people complain about the fact that people can't realize that Superman's Superman, but come on, Batman, really? Guy with a tragic backstory, bachelor, billionaire. Nobody thinks that it's Bruce Wayne ever.
Suspension of disbelief. Remember, it's like wearing the glasses for Superman.
The glasses,
Oh,
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, at the very least, it wasn't just a glass and just the
Yeah.
hair, the hair
Yeah,
strand.
exactly. And he changes his voice. Come on, I'm Batman. Come on. How would you know? How would you know? You wouldn't. That's how.
Okay, and then we're gonna.
I wondered, like, that I to me the voice. I'm with Nanny. It just bugged me.
It's so bad.
Because it's not only bad. It's like you're intentionally giving yourself like a case of like horrible like
Laryngitis.
How are you gonna talk on your
All he needs is a Ricola or Ricola. However you say it.
Ay, Dios mío.
I mean, I guess Fox has like a Ricola contract going, like a supply of Julie.
Constantly. Give me
Constantly,
more.
it's like-
Give me more.
and then Alfred and I put in Vicks on his wounds.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it feels better.
Vicks cures everything.
Sobito.
Vicks-
Sobito con Vicks.
Yeah.
But anyway, we will agree to disagree on Christian Bale on certain aspects, but then we go to what caused a lot of controversy was when Ben Affleck was first announced. I
Batffleck.
hated the idea. I was one of those people that was like, no fucking way. There's no way he can pull this off. Why the hell did they cast Ben Affleck? This makes no sense whatsoever. Oh my God. Josbando was actually like, wait and see. I'm calling that he's gonna be good. Like Josbando from the beginning, he was like, wait and see. And I was like, no way. This pisses me off. I was one of the full haters. I was like, there's no way.
I was on
off.
that bandwagon too.
Mhm.
But that's thankfully, I mean, if there is one thing, despite all the heated opinions about Batman v Superman, the one thing that movie taught me is just like shut up about casting and just wait to see the portrayal.
Yep.
Because I was also on the bandwagon of Ben Affleck. I mean, Daredevil. Come on, how can you cast this guy? And then saw Batman v Superman, and I have mixed feelings about that movie. I mean, the ultimate cut is the good cut of that movie, not the theatrical version. Mm-hmm. But even in the theatrical cut, like Ben Affleck was the best part of that movie, hands down, because he nailed everything about the Batman character. I mean, he was like a monster. Great. I mean, he looked like a nightmare. And all the sequences of him, like in the beginning of hunting criminals in the dark and being like the terror that criminals are afraid of, when he was fighting in the warehouse, like the brutal movements that he had, and like throwing crates at people's heads. I'm like, oh, this is Batman.
This is
Uh,
Yep.
And then seeing Ben Affleck as the suave Bruce Wayne,
He pulled off
bachelor at the
both
parties,
characters.
and they showed the detective Bruce Wayne too.
True. Mhm.
So I was like, oh, Zack Snyder got it. He got it.
Yep.
Why didn't you give this man a Batman movie?
It's like,
I
This is
know.
not a. This guy is not a Superman person. He's a Batman guy. Why did you do this?
Yeah. Just give him a Batman film.
Just-
So I'm
just-
always
just
going to be
Flash of Superman.
incredibly sad because, Ben Affleck wanted to make a Batman film and wanted to
Mhm.
direct it and everything. And I think it could have been fantastic.
Oh yeah.
I think we're never going to know the potential of Ben Affleck's Batman because he was kind of like a side character in this movies. He never got his own. So if he would have
Mhm.
gotten his own, I think he could have been hands down the best Batman.
Yeah.
Because you get this like older version of Batman and he pulls
Mhm.
off both Batman and Bruce Wayne flawlessly. Like he's got
Mhm,
this,
mhm.
the whole thing's hands down. And what you were saying, it's not only like he's like this beast, but he has the Batman movements down. Like the way they choreographed his fight scenes, it's
Mhm,
like the
mhm.
comics, it's like the cartoons, and he uses all the toys and he does the movements and he uses
Right.
the cape. And it's like out of this world, and it combined like the reality-based Batman of the Christian Bale one with like
That's what I was
the
gonna say.
comic
Yep.
booky aspects of like
Gadgets. Yeah.
so good. It was so good. And especially because I never saw it coming that he was going to be that
Mhm.
good.
Right.
Yeah.
The
Blew my
only
mind.
issue that he had was that then they follow it up with Justice League, the Joss Whedon version, and they totally
Yeah.
destroyed his Batman character there, where it's just like it felt deflated because Joss Whedon's rewrites just turned Batman into a punchline, and Batman's cracking jokes at points, and it's just like Batman is the character in the DC universe that would not crack a joke.
Yeah.
Brooding too much for this. Is the Flash and Superman might crack a joke, not Batman. So
Yeah.
like, what's going on here, Joss Whedon? And you can tell, like, maybe just me reading too much into it, but you can tell in all the Joss Whedon reshoots of Batman that just Ben Affleck looks defeated. He does not look like he's enjoying himself in that movie.
Well, I'm pretty sure that around that time was when he decided like I'm not going to do Batman anymore because this is no longer fun. So
I think so,
Yeah.
because the
Mhm.
reception to Batman v Superman wasn't great, even though his portrayal was well received.
Was
And
fantastic.
then obviously
Mhm.
Justice League was a disaster. But that's why I'm glad that the Snyder Cut exists, because the Snyder Cut redeems the Justice League Batman, and
Mhm.
we get back the Batman from Batman v Superman, and his
Mhm.
arc makes sense there, right? Because in Batman
Right.
v Superman, he's the, which I will give credit to Batman v Superman in this sense. It made me like Man of Steel more, because that opening
Because
in
of the-
Batman v Superman,
Mhm.
where like Bruce Wayne is seeing the destruction of
Mhm.
Zod and Superman's fight over Metropolis or Gotham, wherever the hell they were, justified the ending of a little bit, not the killing of
Mhm.
Zod, but at least the fight in Metropolis. And I'm like, okay, that now contextualized, it makes sense, because the fight in Man of Steel never made sense to me, because I'm like, Superman would not destroy Metropolis to save Metropolis.
Yeah.
But then seeing it framed under, Batman v Superman, it's like, oh, this is the first time Superman's ever dealt with these things. So like, he didn't know. And like, now there's a reason for Batman's arc here, because now he's grizzled and he's already jaded. But now with this threat, he's like scared. So he has to respond to Superman with aggression. But now in Justice League, he's like, oh, I made a mistake. I can't do things alone. And there are threats bigger than me that I can't handle. And I can't do it alone. I can't fight the same way that I fought against Superman, because that's just a losing battle. I need my super friends. So his whole
Which
arc,
is one of the great things about Batman and why Batman is so awesome, because Batman doesn't have superpowers and he's with this
Mhm.
team of like overly superpowered people, and he's basically their leader, and he has contingency plans against all of them in case they go
Yes.
bad. Like he has hidden kryptonite to go against Superman if Superman ever goes bad. Like he is on it
yeah.
all the time.
I remember
So-
years ago, Mo sent me like a YouTube video of all of Batman's contingency plans for all
Oh,
of the
yeah.
Justice League
It's
members.
so
and I was like,
good.
"Oh,
Yeah.
This is why Batman's the best superhero.
Batman's the best.
It's so good. It's so good. And it's so sad that he's portrayed so well in all the animated versions. Like even Lego Batman is fucking
Yes.
awesome.
That good Batman. Awesome.
It's awesome. And I loved like the old grizzled version of Batman in Batman Beyond. He was so good. And like there's so many good examples of Batman and they struggle. He's actually one of the better portrayed DC characters. They really fail in most of them. Like they've gotten really close with Batman a lot of the times, but it's so sad that it's such a fantastic character and they don't exploit him enough. And it's such a missed opportunity that we don't get a full film with Ben Affleck, honestly, because I really think like Batfleck, given the opportunity, like directed himself, and because he's proven himself a fantastic director as well. So I think that would have been a really good film. So that
if he had done like a crime mystery, I mean, it's kind of like what Matt Reeves is doing now, but like The Town or something, like one of those films that Ben Affleck has already done, and he's proved he can do well, but with the Batman atmosphere
mythos
around it,
behind it.
I would have on board. I mean, I was on board when they had announced it already. I'm like, okay, let's do this. Like Ben Affleck, Oscar-winning director, writer. Okay, I'm ready for this. So yeah, that's why I was a little disappointed for the Batman, with like changing directors to Matt Reeves and then like recasting Batman to Robert Pattinson. So it was sad to see Ben Affleck go, even though we will get one last look at Ben Affleck as the Bat in The Flash, because he's confirmed to reprise the role there. So I'm excited to see like how they bring that together, and if his Batman will interact with Michael Keaton's Batman. I'll be excited to see two Batmen in the same location. Too much.
Which
Batman.
again, to Mo's point on the last episode, we're more excited. At least I am more excited about the bats in the Flash than actual Flash.
Right.
That's just the truth. Yeah.
Then that opens up to the Ben Affleck's Bat to go to Tim Burton's universe, and then we got a Tim Burton Ben Affleck.
It's spin-off. It just spins out into weird directions.
And then you start, you bring back all the soundtracks and all the things, and oh my god,
bring back all the Batmans, whatever. Let's
make the Batman. All the Batman should be eating shawarma, like in the end of Avengers. Let's go to a shawarma restaurant. Just talk about
bring
their
us all
gadgets.
Bring us Thomas Wayne as Batman too. Bring us everything, all the goodies.
That needs to happen. And especially with Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne from Batman v Superman. That's the Batman we deserve.
As soon as I saw him in that scene at the beginning, I was like, oh my god, they have to do Thomas Wayne Batman with him. They have to do this. So we'll see what happens with the red Flash
eyes and the super. Oh my god, yeah.
And the killing everybody and don't give a crap.
But you mentioned something, Nani, before, and as you mentioned Batman Beyond, and what I was thinking about that is that now that Michael Keaton is back in the fold as Batman in The Flash, he is of a certain age. I mean, he's aged gracefully. I think he looks better now than he ever has. But his age actually permits him, I think, to kind of come back into the role in that Batman Beyond capacity. And maybe I think it would be like I don't know if it could be like an HBO Max series akin to some of the Marvel series on Disney Plus, or a full movie or something. But I think it would be cool to see Michael Keaton as the retired Batman, and then see Batman Beyond in
the
live
protege.
action.
Yeah,
because I think Batman Beyond was an amazing follow-up.
It was
Batman,
so good. It was fantastic. And then you have so many great things, because then you have Commissioner Gordon as Barbara, and the whole backstory of her relationship with Bruce and Nightwing. And that show was fantastic. And I think it's on HBO Max and it holds up. Yeah. So many Batmans. So many Batmans.
So now, I mean, we've discussed, obviously we already did our bottom tier. So I think George Clooney is a bottom, and Val Kilmer is a little above him. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have our fifth and fourth place. Now we have to decide. This is the difficult conversation. I think it's
now we get to the better bats.
Although based on like your guys' opinion on Christian Bale, I think it's safe to say that you guys would have him as the bottom Batman at the top tier.
I would.
3, yeah, why not?
Okay. I don't know if I have a lot of
You don't know
experience
if you
about this
agree?
top tier. So at least I think I'm thankful that there's already a majority, so I don't even have to worry about it. But now the real battle begins. Like Michael Keaton supremacy or Ben Affleck, or are we living in a Batffleck world? Who is the best Batman? Ben Affleck or Michael Keaton? And
Well, my childhood.
we need to. That's what I was gonna say. We need to remove nostalgia from it.
Yeah,
We need to be objective.
My nostalgia would say Michael Keaton, but I have to be objective and say that even though I think his Batman was fantastic, he wasn't as good as Bruce as Ben Affleck was.
Let's get nuts. You want to get
So,
nuts?
he pulled off like the lonely bachelor kind of thing, but he didn't pull off the suave playboy aspect of that. Like he played it a different way. And I think the actual Bruce was like the suave playboy. So I'm gonna give it to Batfleck. And I think there wouldn't be competition if we would have gotten a full film for him. So this is just Batfleck as, you know, kind of a secondary character. I really think he was that good.
That says a lot. That like exactly him as a supporting character in someone else's movie was elevated that much, speaks volumes to his portrayal. What about you, Mo?
Yep.
What do you think in the ultimate battle?
I think but taking away the nostalgia, like the most Ben Affleck is the most closely related to the Batmans in the comics. Like, you know, even if you've read, you know, the old comics or the New 52, like there's something about Batman that Ben Affleck brings to life that I think everybody else failed. So I guess I have to give it to
Ben Affleck.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an undisputed winner, the winner of the first annual Battle of the Bats is Ben Affleck. Batfleck. We are living in Ben Affleck's universe.
I'm with Nani and Goose. When I heard it was the initial casting, I was like, this is gonna be
no way. Yeah. There's no way he's gonna pull it off. But like you were saying, Mo, there's something magical that he connected with this character that he was able to bring to life that none of the other ones like got close but weren't able to do it. And somehow Ben Affleck was able to like bring Batman
I don't know
from
if
the page to the screen.
Like if out of all the actors Ben Affleck was the only one that said, yeah, I read Batman growing up, I would totally believe him. Like, because there was something from the Batman that we have all known. Like everybody wants to be Batman, but like
everyone cool wants to be Batman.
but there's something.
Someone's brother wants to be Aquaman. That speaks volumes.
Except when he was a kid, he ran around with a Batman cape. So
everybody's gonna be everybody. Like, you know, it's like that. There's a meme, like, you know,
if you like the two things kids want to be: astronauts, and then when they grow up, Batman.
Batman.
Like, you can be anything you want to be in the world, except if you can be Batman.
Always be Batman.
Be Batman.
And here's the wild card. Now, obviously, we mentioned Adam West at the beginning of the episode. How does he figure in this ranking if you guys were to place him somewhere? Because I think he just lives in a world of his own.
It's a league of his own.
Completely different.
And Adam West's voice to begin with is a voice for the ages. Like he would like the sound whenever he like did voice acting for like Family Guy or whatever. I wouldn't think Adam West. I was like, oh, Batman's on the show. So, you know, there was something incredibly campy and ridiculous and beautiful about, you know, watching reruns from that show. But it's a class on its own. I don't think Batman would have been made into like live action at all if Adam West didn't exist. So I think it's something separate.
And we were talking about. Oh, sorry, Mom.
No, I was gonna say like it's like closer related to like that old man Loki we got from Richard Grant.
Yeah,
like it has that same
energy,
like energy. Yeah,
like they just take the role. Like, you know, you're wearing spandex, like with a cape that looks like crap.
In the
But yet you
60s.
somehow in the 60s, and then you somehow you go with it, like you
Yeah.
carry the bombs, like
Mhm.
everything, like it's a cartoon made on film, and you
Yeah.
know it's a different category in its own. Like
It's a different
if,
category.
yeah,
and
if
it's-
we didn't have that, we would probably never had other Batmans. Like
That's
Mhm.
true. That's true.
Mhm.
And last but not least, we can't stop discussing. We can't, have a conversation about bats without discussing probably the most iconic voice of Batman, which is Kevin Conroy, who obviously voiced Batman in the animated series, Batman
Yeah.
Beyond, and a bunch of video games and movies. So he's quintessentially recognized, I think, as the best Batman voice actor. But if we were
Mhm.
to inject him into like our battle, how would his portrayal do against everyone we've discussed? Like, would he beat out Michael Keaton, for example?
Mm. It's a hard
On
question.
the power of his voice.
yeah,
Just on the
yes.
power of his voice. I think he'd be top tier, but he wouldn't beat either Michael Keaton or Ben Affleck, honestly.
Hot take.
Hot take. But I would do hot take. Mark Hamill is the best
I knew
Joker.
you were gonna go there.
Regardless of all the live actions and everything else, Mark Hamill is the Joker.
Yeah, true.
So
You heard it here. You heard it here first, folks. Make sure to hit that subscribe button because you'll get more hot takes like that. So the undisputed champion again is then Ben Affleck. So I think next year, it's next year's when the Batman comes out, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
We need to do a coda to this episode and then like do a part 2 and then see how Robert Pattinson stacks up. See like if he rises to the top and is a contender to fight Batfleck, or if he sinks to the bottom, is battling George Clooney for supremacy of the bottom spot, or if he'll just float in the
middle
We'll need to
somewhere.
see.
Yeah. That was another casting that I didn't understand, but because of what happened with Ben Affleck, I was like,
Yeah.
wait and see. I'm not gonna
Wait
judge.
and see.
Wait and see.
He's a great actor, so
And he is a good actor, and
Yeah.
he is underrated. So
yeah.
Very
I
much so.
think his reputation kind of like got damaged by
Twilight. Yeah.
Twilight.
like, just because his name is always attached to it now. But
Yeah.
But it's the same with what happened with Ben Affleck, right? He was like always his name was always synonymous with Geely and Daredevil, so that's always why people are like, oh, not Ben Affleck, but he's been able to, like a
Revamp.
phoenix, rise from the ashes and
Yeah.
redeem himself. So good for him. And I think Robert Pattinson has done the same, just not mainstream. I think he's done it more through indie films like The Lighthouse and things like that. Obviously, he was in Tenet, the last
Lighthouse.
Chris Nolan movie, but
Which is great.
crazy,
we'll see.
crazy.
I am looking forward definitely to Paul Dano as the Riddler and Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. So very excited for this movie. It carries the same the same cinematography and look as Batman Begins. So I don't know if that's going to be something that
Andy
plays against
Serkis
him.
as Alfred.
That's a weird one for me. Like
I
think
know
he's
it's
too
weird.
young.
I don't know what to think about it, but Andy Serkis,
He's
can do
always
no
great.
wrong.
He's
So
always great.
yeah.
I just feel like he's too young to be Alfred. It's like, you're not an old guy. And Alfred's an old guy. So, but we'll wait. We'll need
this is
to
a
wait and see.
young Batman. This is like Batman Year One, I think.
True,
So
true.
it would make sense
baby
for
Batman.
Alfred to not be
Asshole.
super old. So because Alfred, and they could finally do the like military trained Alfred, because he was
Which they
like Alfred is a badass.
only implied that in Dark Knight, because they
A little
implied it with
bit.
Michael Caine, but it's just like a story that he said once, and that's it. So we can see. Maybe maybe
Michael
he's
Caine is Michael Caine. It's too much of a grandpa.
Oh, and Michael Caine is.
Michael Caine. Yeah. But
So
with
we'll
that,
see.
I think that our battle has concluded. We have a victor. We have a Ben Affleck supremacy that will live in infamy until Robert Pattinson shows up to attempt to take the crown. So I think with that, the battle is concluded, unless anyone has any additional thoughts about our Batman, Bat people, whatever.
Let's put it out there. Maybe we get another Batfleck, a full film Batfleck to see.
HBO Max, listen to us.
Listen to us.
Come on. Yeah. We have given you the crown, Batfleck. Come back into the fold.
Grace
Everyone
us
knows
with
your Batman.
Pride of the Force is Ben Affleck's favorite podcast. So if Ben Affleck's listening to this,
of course.
you should listen to it too. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
Well, I guess with this week, comment, like, come on, do it. So anyway, for any of you that are still interested in the Batmans, like all the animated stuff is on HBO Max. It's all really, really good. It holds up. Just like look into it. There's fantastic stuff in there. And I think with that, we conclude our first ever Battle of the Bats with Ben Affleck being crowned the best Batman so far. So far, let's see what happens with the new film. And let's see, stuff ages. We never know. Michael Keaton may win again after we see his reprisal of the role.
Yeah, that's true.
So we never know. We are Triad of the Force. Thank you for joining us. We didn't talk about Star Wars today, but we talk about the things that we like, and we like Batman too. So there. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, ring that bell. You can find us anywhere that podcast can be found. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter. Just search for Triad of the Force. Till next time, may the Force be with you.